Hi, I'm Ted from Everything Attachments, and we're today with our first rotary cutter that we've ever made. This is the prototype. This is the very first one, and this particular one is going to Humpy Wheeler, the old promotion person and GM manager for Charlotte Motor Speedway before Bruton bought it. So he called me one day at home, and this is what he wanted, and I told him we were looking at doing them and that we'd put this on our schedule to start doing them. We're going to have a 42. This is the 48. We're going to have a 60 and a 72. The 72 will come quite a bit later. We're going to get the 42 through 60 done first. And this is like the very first one, and there are definitely some things on it we're going to change, and I'm going to show you as we go through it. The first thing we're going to change is this front shield that almost comes down to the bottom, which is too low, and that's to protect you from flying objects and things like that. This can, once you're in an area that you don't have people around you, you don't have cars, windows, things like that near you, you might want to remove the front shield. What's going to be more important is probably the rear shield, but we're going to do a couple of things. In other words, this is a carriage bolt, and we cut the square in this front shield, and we're going to reverse that. It's not going to look as pretty, but we're going to cut the square in the bush hog and leave the threads out here where the grass and all doesn't get caught on it, where it doesn't damage the threads, and when you want to take it off later, you'll still be able to, because if we leave it with the threads towards the inside, they're going to get beat up and you're not going to be able to get the nuts off. We're also going to, at about 1 1.25 inches from here, we're going to put a 45-degree bend on it, giving it a little extra strength and bringing that up to let it cut a little better if you choose to leave that on while you're cutting. We've also added a nice little bracket here. I've seen a lot of them, and they use a hook from the top of the top link piece here, and it hangs your PTO down here. But when it's in use, you've got this big hook up here, and it's just nasty. I don't like it. So when we burned this piece here, we burned it with a hook in it where you can lay your PTO shaft in there for storage. And it's a cleaner look, and it works a lot better. We've put the pin-on drive shaft on this model right here, and you're always on a small tractor like this, up 48 inches and below, you're always going to use an ungraded or grade 2 bolt, so it will shear if you hit something hard. This is a 45 horsepower octagon gearbox. And never forget, when you put your bolt in there, you have to change them. There's a snap ring that goes on the end of the shaft right here. So when you shear that bolt, it doesn't allow the shaft to slide back and get and start beating things up in here. It can be dangerous. So make sure your snap ring is always on there. We've added some things like we've added right here next to where the main brace is. We've got holes where water can drain out. We've made it to where the pins, this is a limited hitch. It's a little bit narrower than the standard 26-inch hitch. And then for a smaller tractor like a BX or something that has the chains that come from the center, you could actually put the pins to the inside. Now that would limit you from not being able to use your drive shaft holder, but it will work with the pins to the inside. When you go above 48 inches, we'll go to the standard 26-inch hitch. We've added extra skid shoes here to make it thicker. Almost everyone's rotary cutter that we looked at is 12 gauge. This is 11 gauge, and with gauges, the lower the number, the thicker it is. So this is actually a little thicker than 12 gauge. This is 3/8 on these hitches. These are 1/4 inch on the downward pieces. All of this is cut on a laser, nice round edges. Nice clear holes. You can also lower this whole hitch with another hole right below there. So right here are some more changes. Remember, this was our first one we built, and I wasn't sure of a couple things. It's kind of hard when you start radiusing these things and rolling these bands to fit up and everything. You just, from the 3D SolidWorks, which is really close, we've just missed a couple things a little bit. Where you see these two notches here, this piece here will be extended 1 inch further where they meet up flush, so you won't have any difference in that. This overlaps about 1 inch and is re-welded in here for extra strength. And when you get to the rear shield, which in most cases, unless you're around people and stuff like that, you're going to take this shield off so you can release your debris out the back and keep it. Now, if you want to mulch what you're cutting, if you're cutting grass, you really want to mulch it up good. Leave both these bands on, and they're going to mulch real good. They're going to kind of leave it wadded up. If you remove these, then it's going to let it discharge easier. But as you can see, this band here is sticking down about 1 inch right here and would catch on almost anything. So this band will be changed to where this is flush right here. Once this band is flush right here, then what we've also done, this is kind of designed a little bit after the Land Pride 15 series RC cutter, and theirs bevels up a little bit. We put a lot more bevel on the back of this, so it'll have a wider discharge area once you remove this band. But on this shield here, we'll start cutting it where it's flush with this, where you're not ever going to catch the edge of that. So that'll also be fixed. Okay. And on the back wheel, tail wheel here, you can probably see it the best from here. This is this yoke here has 2 pieces of metal where the axle comes down. It's welded on. It's a strong yoke. This is a true laminated tire like comes on the big bush hogs. And we've, instead of just making a generic piece, which a lot of manufacturers do, like on a 42, it'll have 6 inches here. On a 48, it'll have 2 inches here. We're making a specific piece here for every size cutter to where we can always keep this tail wheel in the right position instead of just doing it the generic way. You'll also see there's a little extra room right here, so the piece of pipe that goes in between the yoke and the hook up here will be extended a little bit wider, so it takes up all the area there. It is greased in the back. It has 8 different adjustments here, and they're on a carriage bolt, so you can do it with 1 wrench. Makes it real easy. Come on around all the way. And as you can see, we're also using a 1-inch wheel bolt through there, 1-inch axle for the wheel to make it heavy duty there. Come on around. Just wanted you to see the whole cutter. The main rails here are welded on both sides. The rear back here is welded on a lip that sticks up 3/8 of an inch all the way around through here. And then this is just the prototype, but on the rest of them, we're going to cut out, when we cut this piece on the laser, we're going to cut just a few little V's in it. So if your bush hog happened to be on an angle the other direction, it would allow the water to come out the back of it. So this looks really high, this A-frame hitch, but you got to remember that this comes down. But so for a smaller tractor like this is designed for, the hitch is really tall. You've got your adjustment here, so when you come down a hill and your bush hog starts to raise up, it doesn't pick up the back of your tractor. It's going to allow your top link to have some room here to move. And this is up higher, so on a smaller tractor that doesn't have a lot of lift, it's the higher this is, the more geometry it gives to rotate this whole bush hog up so that it will lift up the rear far enough that you won't get caught in a ditch. I really like the PTO being in its own hanger there also. So come on around back to the front. So once we get the bolts turned the right way, which would be the nuts out, it's going to make it really easy for you to take that owner off if you want to, whenever you need to. Same way with the rear one. We've got just a couple little things to refine on this, but we want to go ahead and get this out and get it into the market. Spring's on its way. We've got all the components to build these up to 72 inches. We're going to build them up to 60 real quick in the next week or two, and then we'll build the 72 probably in about 3 weeks. But give us a call or an email at Everything Attachments. We'll be happy to help size your rotary cutter for the size tractor you have. And we've tried to keep everything with the design to be as strong as possible, but also light once you're in these smaller units for the small tractors. Thanks for choosing Everything Attachments for all your purchases.